earlier, for some reason, I was having all these issues. So, like I said, I'm a huge proponent of research. I don't go by people's opinions. It means absolutely nothing. Maybe it means something to you, but I'm talking about the bigger scheme of things when it comes to the three branches of government. It means nothing. I'm just telling you, if you want to change public policy and law, you have to come to the table with empirical research. And research has the power to change public policy and law. It's plenary, okay? Your opinion is not plenary. Maybe in your world, in your little microcosmic world, but in the bigger scheme of things, absolutely not. They go by research. Especially with the courts, they go by credentialed people with masters and PhDs, professional degrees, with publications, and of course, research, right? Opinions are a dime a dozen. They're like tantamount to hearsay in a court of law. It doesn't have any weight whatsoever. And as I mentioned earlier in my previous video, I don't want to, go over all my credentials. Well, maybe I should, because I don't know, it's probably better that way. So again, those are my credentials there. Excuse my vacuum cleaner right there. But see, those are my credentials. All right. I'm not going to go through each one of them because the previous video I did. But I have a master's, bachelor's, associates, plus Kappa Delta Pi honors. I don't know if you can see that badge, the certificate with the badge on it, the gold badge. 3.94 with my master's in education, school counseling. I'm working on a second master's in criminal justice legal studies. Next class that I take, which will be legal research, I'll be halfway done with the program. So I'll be graduating next April with my second juicy, delicious, tenderoni, scrumptious master's. I'll have 2 master degrees. But as you can see, I have all these certificates. Most of them, if I were to say the mode, would be from Harvard Law and various universities such as Cambridge, Iceland, Berkeley Music, etc. Because I'm also a professional music composer. I have 18 studio albums, and I have over 600 songs, and I'm ASCAP, so I'm a member of ASCAP. So there you go. Those are my credentials. Okay, so back to the screen here. So this is a research that I gleaned some information for my research. Hello, Logan. From my research, because I wanted to be, diverse my sources, but this is a dissertation on colorism. And as I mentioned before, we had to, you good? Okay, all right, cool. So, excuse me. In my previous class, give me 1 second, because I don't want to, give me a second, okay? So you can all see for yourselves, because I'm very transparent. I have nothing to hide, so give me 1 second. It's just me. Oh, no problem. It's good seeing you, my friend. Little innocent Logan. All right, so listen. So this is my juicy, delicious second master's that I'm working on. All right, and this is my previous class, because again, I'm very transparent. So this is my previous one. It was exploration of law and public policy. And these are all the modules that I had to complete, 8 of them. Very intense research papers. And I'm trying to see the one I did on colorism. Let me see. I think it might be this one here. Feedback. Let me see. Richard, excellent. Very well done. That's a feedback from the professor. Straight A's. But I'm trying to figure out. Oh, no, this is firearms essay, so it's not that one. Hold on. I'll find it. It might be the 5th one. Let's see. No, this one's community-oriented policing essay. It's not that one. I'll find it. Just give me a minute. It might be 6. Let's see. Oh, no, that's a 3 strikes essay. Oh. I see why attorneys get paid the big bucks, because when it comes to legal stuff, you got to know your shit. It's very, very intense. Trust me when I say that. Okay, it's not that one. That's firearms. Is it the last one? I'll find it. Okay, this one's juvenile justice essay, so that's wrong. Wait a minute, is it this one? But it might be though. Hold on. Let me pull up the actual submission. review report. No, that's capital punishment in juveniles. That's wrong. That's not it. It might be number 4. No, number 3. Damn, where the hell is it? Oh my God. Oh, you know what? I know why, because it wasn't this class. It was the previous one, and it expired up here, because once it hits a certain date, then it disappears. Damn, it was my criminal justice behavior analysis course. Well, hold on. I'll find it, because I like to be very, very transparent so people can see I have nothing to hide. You know, when people hide stuff, that usually means they're guilty of something. Unless it's like passwords, that's a different story. But I'm talking about like just regular, if you're trying to avert a case, why would you hide it? Because if you're hiding it, then that shows there's something going on with you. Okay, alrighty. Let's see, let me close all this nonsense here. Get rid of that. Okay, hold on everyone. Let's see. Okay, so I want you to see how intense a master's degree program is. Now, this one here, this program, I feel is a lot more challenging because it's all legal stuff. All these laws you got to know, like a writ of mandamus, a motion in limine. What's the other one? Certiorari, a writ of certiorari. Res ipsa liquidator, res judicata, all these different, doctrines you got to know. Like, you got to know your shit, okay? Mens rea, actus reus, what else? I'm trying to think of some other ones. Sua sponte, rulings, all these different rules and stuff, canons, peremptory canons of law. Like, you got to know administrative, case / common, constitutional, and statutory laws. And I'm telling you, it is very, very voluminous, intense. Okay, so this is my first course that I took. I have to take a total of 10 classes to earn my master's, but look at all these assignments. These are all essays I had to do, and they're between 15, 20 pages. I told you it's very intense. People don't realize that's what I say, when people try to challenge me on my education, again, I'm not gloating. I'm letting you know I worked very hard, so I'm very proud to share my achievements because it wasn't given to me. I don't sit on my ass and just stare out the window. I work my ass off. I do lots of, deep, in-depth research because I want to make sure if I'm debating with someone that I know what I'm talking about. Here's my criminal justice behavioral analysis. Look at all these papers. Again, all 15, 20-page papers with several research references. So this is my other one that I took. You see? So remember, I have to do 10 of these, and they last for 8 weeks. Very intense. Now, the one I'm in right now is ethics and decision making. But the paper I was telling you about is in my criminal justice. I got to find it. Give me 1 second. All right. Where is it? Colorism. I did one on colorism. Where the hell is it? Wait a minute. Where the hell is it? Of course I can't find shit when I'm looking for it. All right, maybe it was the other class. All right, I'm sorry, everyone. I thought I could find it. I don't know where I put it. I guess because, it's a lot of work and I probably forgot to put it in this folder here, but I do have it somewhere. It's in my email because I always email it to myself, but there's a paper. You just have to believe me on this. Oh, here it is right here. All right. So this is the paper that I did on colorism, and I extracted resources from variegated sources, but I'm going to kind of go through it, okay? My introduction. The United States leads the world by having the largest quotient of prison inmates. Unfortunately, minorities are disproportionately represented in American penal systems. The question is why. There are myriad historical facts to explore and unpack regarding racism and colorism as they impact the quotient of unfair convictions and sentencing practices in the legal justice system. Are political leaders and operational systems adding and or subtracting to the problems of racism and colorism under a white supremacy framework? In essence, this essay explores colorism and featureism and how the dynamics of the two afflict the Black and mixed race, I'm talking about European and African because that's what I am, that's what I can identify with, community from an economic, legal, political, and social systemic framework. So I'm actually going to go through the research paper. Why not? Okay. So brief history on colorism, okay? It is important to note that contemporaneous to the transatlantic chattel slave trade, Western Black sub-Saharan Africans worked in concert with the Europeans by selling members from other tribes and their own into slavery. Many ideologies are unaware of this historical fact. Slavery was a huge business for both groups. Moving on, Black faces were publicly used as spectacles for white people's amusement. For example, enslavers would publicly depict Black features with exaggerated subhuman and zoomorphic, monkey and gorilla-like physical characteristics along with watermelon tropes. Here's the research here, okay? These are all scholarly sources now. These contrived tactics were used as an evil ploy to instill public fear and justify the widespread enslavement propaganda directed toward a group of oppressed people who deviated the white physical and social norm, therefore deserving their blight and plight. This is all my writing, but I still have to cite where I'm getting the information, but it still has to be paraphrased. Okay, so the first West Sub-Saharan Black African phenotype did not come in myriad color gradations, light to dark, as many denialists want to believe. In fact, said enslaved people arrived to America as being invariably dark skin, complemented by dark eyes and 4C tightly coiled hair. This is the quiddity of Black sub-Saharan physical features. However, for many racists, it represents contempt under white supremacy ideologies. In essence, unless enslaved Africans had a case of albinism, which there are 4 types, engaged in skin bleaching practices, which is a huge epidemic in the 21st century, but anachronistic during slavery, inherited physical traits from an atavistic, which means like an ancient Diluvian progenitor, non-Black progenitors, and or have Waardenburg syndrome. They were never phenotypically presented as having light skin, loose, silky, textured hair, wavy, curly, and light eyes. No. And this is from my source here from Africa, 2021 it was published. These are all credible scholarly sources. Okay. So, moving on here. So, some folk argue that Horn Africans, Somalians, Eritreans, Yemenites, Ethiopians are Black, but have lighter skin, aquiline facial landscapes, and silky textured hair. For the record, Horn people were not part of the American chattel slave trade, and their ancestry tend to be multi-generational mix with Arab and sub-Saharan stock. Hence, giving them lighter skin, many of them, can't say all of them, depends on the mixture, tend to be, lighter skin, aquiline features, and silky textured hair. After all, said countries are adjacent to the Arabian Peninsula, if you look on the map, which speaks for itself. I'm talking about migrations, exodus patterns, and mixing, etc. Logically speaking, it makes no sense or I'm sorry, it makes sense as to why said group would be more heterogeneous or heterozygous alleles due to their historical exonomous, or I should say exogenous exchanges between the Middle East and North African Berbers versus West Sub-Saharan Black Africans who tend to be more homogeneous or endogamous, hence reflecting a paucity of variegated biological morphology. So let me just talk about what these terms mean. So when you see the term homogeny, let me see, give me 1 second. When you see the term, well, heterozygous, we all know that means diverse, and then homozygous means mono or monistic. So when you see exogamous or exogamy, that means groups that marry, mix, propagate, procreate outside of their group. Endogamy is a polar opposite. That's within a group. So make sure that we have our terms correct, okay? All right. And then morphology, we're talking about structure, bone structure, etc. So in case inquisitive readers want to know more about Waardenburg syndrome, all racial groups can inherit said disease. However, researchers are perplexed by the high quotient of disproportionate cases endemic to West Sub-Saharan Black African countries. Now remember, there's 16 countries in West Africa. Anyway, said disease is known to be characterized by having hypercolorized eyes, which are bright blue, or the subvariant heterochromia iridum, which is one eye is brown, one is blue, and the other one is heterochromia iridis, where you have brown eyes with blue pigments, and then the reversal, blue eyes with brown pigments, okay? There's another thing known as hypopigmentation, lightening of the skin, which is very similar to albinism. And they sometimes have a blonde forelock in the frontal lobe, which is like a patch of blonde hair. Okay? All scholarly sources, as you can see. Excuse me. There are more traits unique to Waardenburg syndrome, such as, but not limited to, sensory neural hearing loss, vision issues, and other conditions, but these particulars are not relevant to the aforementioned regarding the quiddity of Black sub-Saharan features. Now remember, these are syndromes. Waardenburg syndrome is a disease, ladies and gentlemen, that all groups can have. However, it's disproportionately high in West Africa for some inexplicable reason, and a lot of researchers don't know why. But those are not normal conditions. They're natural in that it's part of their body, it's in their eye sockets, but it's not normal. It's a disease, and they usually have, as I mentioned, neural sensory issues like vision, hearing impairments, that kind of thing, okay? I'm lying down in a prone position, and it's hard to, focus and get comfortable. So bear with me if you hear me kind of shuffling around. Okay, so in this essay, Black and mixed race, biracial, multiracial, or multi-generational are the vernaculars expressed throughout this narration as they relate to colorism, research, discrimination, and other omnifarious issues explored through the lens of the penal system. Okay? So said author describes colorism as a historical weapon which was incepted during slavery to uphold white supremacy. This ideology morphed into a divide and conquer methodology by enticing and inciting stark divisions between Black and mixed race people, which translates into light skin versus dark skin phenomena that continues to manifest in the 21st century. So during the colonialization period, everyone, throughout the world, the Europeans primarily, the British and the Spaniards, or the Spanish, invade. And Spanish comes from Spain, everyone. Just so you know, it's a European country, culture. It's contiguous to Portugal and France, okay? All right, so primarily British and Spanish invaded, raided, decimated, and broke the spirit of many indigenous and sub-Saharan African people with their reign of despotism, okay? Despotism is like, a monarch, like a ruler, a person that wants to take over everything, and that's not a good thing. It's a very bad thing. They not only indulged in the erasure of said people's culture and identities, but proselytized them as well, meaning converted them into their belief system and the way of doing things. It's almost like a form of hegemony, but proselytization is more force, whereas hegemonization, you can say so, but people learn to accept it as the way of life. So there's less resistance when it comes to hegemony, or when it comes to homogeny. Excuse me, I didn't pronounce it correctly. Homogeny, it's a little bit different. It's when you force something, but later on people accept it as truth. Like they believe in it and they support it and they don't resist, they don't fight it. But when you're proselytized, it's a little bit different. It's more like you're forcing somebody. It's just like when the Spaniards came over and they basically ridded all of the indigenous, like basically wiped out, extirpated their culture, defenestrated their culture. And so they basically converted people into speaking their language. That's more forced, okay? So hegemonizing is different than proselytizing, just so you know. All right, so going back. So they not only indulge in an erasure of said people's culture and identities, but proselytize them as well. During this whole proselytization, the rulers also hegemonized, as I mentioned, said people into accepting their peremptory standards of life without resistance. Said destructive mindsets have been imbued, meaning like infusing somebody, in the psyche of oppressed people for centuries, and resonates in the 21st century in variegated socioeconomic ways. Many brainwashed folk default to the belief that the closer they are to whiteness in appearance, culture, and mannerisms, the easier life would be. Sadly, based upon the modicum of empirical evidence gleaned in this essay, there appears to be a lot of validity to the penultimate, which means second from last. And then there's another thing known as anti-penultimate, which is third from last. And then there's pre-anti-penultimate, which is fourth from last. And then fifth is pro-pre-anti-penultimate. All right. So said studies regarding said topic have revealed that people of color who have ambiguous features that approximate whiteness, as described in the preceding, are perceived to be more attractive, intelligent, have better employment prospects, increased mode of getting married, and less legal problems with law enforcement, which is true. So the crux of this essay will explore these racial dynamics within the framework of colorism, 4 modes of crime control, and how they are all impacted by legal, operational, and political perspectives, okay? And the word peremptory, because sometimes I use a lot of sophisticated language, means something that basically cannot be controverted. If you have a peremptory order, that's the order. That's it. It's like something that has plenary power. Like you cannot controvert it. That's it. It's like an absolute. Okay? Alrighty. So let's move on. So penal system and colorism. According to Blair, blah, 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 all these researchers, whatever, suggest that there are significant associations between skin tone and sub-Saharan African or Afrocentric facial features that dictate a person's sentencing quotient in the penal system. This suggests that people are being unfairly judged and given outrageous prison sentences based upon their phenotype as opposed to the actual crimes being committed. This is horrible on so many levels because people cannot control in how God created them, which is true. The presented studies in this essay examine how colorism may intersect with ethnicity cues and together lead to implicit biases within the legal due process and adjudications, which is very true, okay? You'll see that often people that look more Afrocentric, less mixed, tend to receive protracted sentences versus people that look very ambiguous or show some kind of admixture or just features that are not 100% sub-Saharan African, and they often experience truncated, meaning shortened sentences, sometimes clemency or even pardons. Okay, so for example, Jeremy Meeks is a prime example of mixed race privilege in the penal system. According to so-and-so, a black person in general, male or female, have an added burden of worrying about how their dark skin and Afrocentric features may forfeit their freedom by being ordained to serve a longer prison sentence, as opposed to a mixed race offender who has committed the same crime but serving less time. For example, look at the notorious Jeremy Meeks case. He is biracial, African European male, that had some serious felonious criminal charges levied against him. However, the justice system granted him clemency during sentencing. So here's the reference here. The Daily Mirror reported that Jeremy Meeks spent an aggregate of 10 and a half years in prison for all the crimes he had committed. In his legal case, he was convicted of grand theft and a firearms possession in 2014. That changed everything in an unexpected way. For the record, Jeremy Meeks is perceived to be very attractive by many people. He meets the standard of beauty under white supremacy. For example, he is physically fit, has European facial bone structure, and light skin complemented by piercing blue eyes. His oxymoronic model mugshot garnered media attention across the globe, which is true. He was receiving hundreds of letters daily while in jail from various modeling agencies, women, men, etc., who all wanted him for business, opportunities, and sex. Due to the sheer volume of attention he was receiving, the presiding judge reduced his 63-month prison sentence to 27, you heard right, so he can get out early and pursue a modeling career. Now, let's examine this. During his whole arraignment, when he was apprehended for his said offenses, in his cabal, there was about 2 or 3 other men that were basically, found guilty of the same crimes. They're all equally handsome, I mean, not to be superficial, but, they were still good looking. But because they weren't mixed race like Jeremy, they all received the full sentencing. Now tell me that's not bullshit. That's complete bullshit. Again, colorism. I'm trying to tell you it's a very real thing. I have the facts right here. This is great news that he was able to change his life around, but the truth is his skin tone and ocean blue eyes helped him in the legal system. Black males under these conditions would most likely serve the full 63 months. Jeremy's good looks attracted attention from a female billionaire, Chloe Green, and together they procreated a baby boy. He was also able to land a successful modeling and fashion clothing line career, which is true. Okay? All right. I'm probably not going to go through the whole thing because it's a little voluminous here. Well, again, these are all stats and stuff showing the difference in the penal system. So let me just get to the research paper that I extracted a lot of information from. Ready? Now, this is a doctoral student. All right, because I want to give her the full credit here. This is her dissertation. Ready? So, Doctor of Psychology. All right. Dominique U. Jackson, 2024. And it was approved by her chairperson. All right. Now, this is about colorism. Ready? Now, let me show you, because I want everyone to know I'm BSing you. I come fully armed or replete with facts. No opinion bullshit. Okay, let me just get to the references. Ready? Now, these are all the references, and they're not all of them. This is only that's unique to her specific research. But outside of this, I found at least 20 through the GCU library that are independent of hers. So there's well over 150. But look, the evidence right here. These are all studies, empirical studies. In case inquiring minds want to know. I wasn't bullshitting you. So while I'm scrolling through. This is what I was trying to tell people is I understand that sometimes individuals go through, they call it cognitive dissonance, right? Where they're looking for new information to counter information that's quashing their faulty belief system. So for example, I'm not going to stop smoking because my father smoked until he was 100 and he never had lung cancer. You see? Now we know that lung cancer, or I should say smoking, is correlated to cancer, right? We can't say it causes it because it could be a myriad of things. It could be environmental issues, genetics, lifestyle, lots of different variables, right? So this is why you have to say it's correlated. So there are corollaries, right? Between smoking and cancer, various types of cancer, particularly lung cancer. But we all know when people get defensive and they don't want to admit that they're doing a bad thing or they're abusing their bodies, they look for other things to, excuse me, restore consistency with their belief system. So looking for things to align with their faulty belief system just so they can feel better because they don't want to admit they're wrong. Listen, everyone's different. But if I'm wrong about something, I'll be a man and say, you know what? I didn't know that. And I'll stand corrected. See? I don't need to try to prevaricate, deflect, project, gaslight, hurl epithets, or ad hominems. I don't need to do any of that stuff. For what? All I'm showing you is that I'm being insecure because I don't want to admit I'm wrong. And I'm not that kind of person. If I'm wrong about something, I stand corrected. Okay? But I tell people, unless you have empirical facts to back up your premise, I don't want to hear it. Because to me, is tantamount to hearsay. One ear and out the other. In one ear and out the other. It means nothing to me. I go by research because remember, these are credentialed people with masters and PhDs, licensure, certifications. I'm talking about relevant or apposite, meaning germane. Certifications, licensure, publications. They were approved by their committee, the research board. Approved evaluative instruments, I go by those people. They have clout. Opinions mean absolutely nothing. Maybe in your world, but when it comes to the three branches of government, legislative, executive, and judicial, they don't care about your opinions. They go by research. And just so you know, Congress does frequently confer and consult with the ABA and the AMA when it comes to medical research, and also when it comes to laws with the ABA, which was incepted in 1847, and the AMA was incepted in 1878, just so you know. Okay, so let's go through all this here. All research. So for those reductive, insecure people that try to controvert what I'm saying, you can't beat research. I know it's going to hurt you to your soul, but you cannot controvert research. Again, research is a very powerful instrument to change public policy and law. So you can get mad all you want. Holler from the top of a mountain means absolutely nothing. You're just straining your own vocal cords because at the end of the day, this right here is what's going to prevail. See that there? Try to tell you, wasn't bullshitting you. Look at this. It's over 150. And that's not including my research paper and studies I did not incorporate because initially my paper had 31. I think it was 31. No, my bad. Initially I had 50 research sources, but my professor said it was too voluminous. I had to reduce it, truncate it. So I did. She only wanted like 20 because she said it was too much. She said, I proved my point. It was a very powerful, presentation. And I successfully averred my case, and that's all she wanted to see. It's just at least 15 to 20. That was enough. She didn't want anything about that. She said it was too much. But I proved my point that what I was saying all this time, that colorism does exist. And when people keep saying, oh, mixed race and blacks is the same thing, it's not the same thing. And that's both biologically, socially, experientially, in the penal system, when it comes to employment opportunities, political incumbency. I'm just being honest with you. I had the research to back it up. Look at this. You see? That's over 150, just so you know. Okay? So I just wanted to prove my veracity that I've been telling the truth all this time. I have nothing to hide. I'm very transparent. I take my education very serious. And of course, I'm a proponent for equality and equity across the board. I don't care who you are, male, female, black, white, purple, green, you know, what your sexual orientation is, what your religion. I don't give a shit about that stuff. If somebody is treated unfairly, if their constitutional rights are violated in any kind of way, and if I have power to effect change in a positive way for that individual that's victimized, I'm going to do it. So I just want to make that clear. I believe in equality and justice for all people. I'm an egalitarian. However, I don't believe in sugarcoating nor euphemizing things just so people can feel better about themselves and conform to what the majority are thinking. Just because 100 people think something doesn't make it true. See, a lot of times people get stuck on, conformity, right? They want to conform with the popular mindset. Just because it's popular doesn't mean it's correct. Just like, years ago when people thought, which is, what's the word they use? Reductio ad absurdum. That's how ridiculous it was. People thought that the earth was flat. The earth is definitely not flat, it's round. But you know how many people back in the day believed that the earth was flat? I'm talking about by the droves, okay? People believed that the earth was flat. And because it was popular, it was a popular opinion, many people were gullible and credulous enough to follow that nonsense until they found out later on that is absolutely false. The earth is not flat, it's round. But anyway, I don't go by conformity, I go by facts, okay? So, let me show you something else. Hold on. Because I love educating people. So, sometimes people will bring up the nonsense about blonde hair Malaysian people. Now, I mentioned this before and I'm going to say it again. Malaysian people originally were from Africa, but they exodus to Malaysia, right? They are known to be a multi-generational mixed race group of people that engaged in endogamy, which I mentioned before, within, not exogamy, endogamy, which is within a group, okay? So the reason why they have their blonde hair, according to some researchers, now some do disagree with it, they're not sure, but the popular belief system is, based on research, is the blonde hair is a gene that reacts to their high protein diet, okay? Now, not that I'm trying to xenomorphize people into cats or anything like that, but I want you to think about the Siamese cat breed, because I have a Seal Point Siamese. The Siamese cat has a gene that reacts to temperature. So this is why Siamese they're like basically albinistic cats, but to a lesser degree. There's a different type of albinism they're believed to have. But anyway, the Siamese cat, everyone, has the bright blue eyes and the dark face and the light body, like the fawn color body, right? So the dark points, they call them points. The dark paws, the dark face, dark tail, whatever, are called points. Those aspects or extremities of the body react to temperature, right? So when it's cold, think about it. What gets cold on you? Your extremities, right? Your nose, your ears, your feet, like certain things that are exposed, right? Extremities. Well, same thing with the Siamese cat breed. When it comes to temperature, they have a gene that reacts to the temperature, hence giving them the dark paws, the dark face, the dark tail. Well, the Malaysian people are pretty similar. They have a gene that reacts to their high rich protein diet, hence giving them the blonde hair, just so you know. But they're a multi-generational mixed group of people. Just telling you, that's what they are. They're not black sub-Saharan people. So I don't know where people are getting this nonsense from, but it's just not true. Okay, so, all right. Oops. These are all of my references I was just talking about. Hold on. Give me a second. Let's see if I can find the photos. I'm not sure if I still have them. I thought I had them, but because I'm all about education. All right. I guess this is pretty accurate, this photo. I have another one that is dated, but this one's good. Okay, See this beautiful family here? And thanks to the gentlemen that are serving our country. Those are the features of the original sub-Saharan Africans, West Africans. She's a beautiful, beautiful, the whole family is beautiful. Anyway, dark skin, 4C hair, and dark eyes. Those features are quiddity to sub-Saharan African people. Okay? They're not light skinned. They don't have loose textured hair. They don't come in different colors. I don't know where people are getting this nonsense from. That's false information. The Eve gene is false information. What people are mistaking the Eve gene for is atavism, which all groups can get it, meaning that you can inherit traits that come from an antediluvian and or archaic ancestor from hundreds of years ago. I want to use the word antediluvians before the flood, okay? Anyway, but biblically speaking, but as I mentioned, those ancestors, ancient ancestors, can manifest in your phenotype. It's very rare, but it does happen. It's called atavism, okay? And you can still have two dark-skinned parents that can have a light-skinned child. You're like, how's that possible? Well, believe it or not, even though they're dark-skinned, they still can have some mixed ancestry, just like white people. There's a lot of white people who can be snow white, blonde hair and blue eyes, and still have African ancestry. Yes, looks can be very deceiving. However, our original ancestors were not variegated. They were invariably dark skin, dark eyes, and 4C hair. They didn't look like Alicia Keys, Halle Berry, Jasmine Guy, Mariah Carey, who has a multi-generational father, mixed race father, and a white mother. So she's not like Halle Berry and myself. She's predominantly white because her father also has some white ancestry because he was not dark skinned. He was kind of light skinned. So that comes from mixed ancestry, everyone. Where am I going with this? Okay, so the original Africans that came here were very dark skinned, just like what you see here. That's the phenotype. There was nothing outside of those features. Okay, so I'm going to show you something. Hold on. Because I'm all about the education, baby. I don't come half-ass. So let's see. Let me go to a video that I did. Give me 1 second, okay? Let's see, where is it? Okay, I think it's here. I'm telling you, knowledge is power, man. I love knowledge.
So take
Okay.
a screenshot, whatever, read more about it.
All right.
But there are 4 different types. Okay?
Ocular cutaneous albinism. There's 4 types. That's what he has. It has nothing to do with, it comes in all shades. All groups get it. But he still looks like an African child. He just has no pigments. He doesn't have any color because he has albinism.
Some groups of people, like
Okay?
this article
So don't get it
shows
twisted. That has nothing to do with no
certain
Eve
Asian
gene.
cultures, like type.
All right. Let's see.
It's a type of colorism.
Okay, this I'm talking about an Italian that has African features like his hair. But hold on. Okay. So, let's go. These are the original. Original, everyone. See the phenotype? Very consistent, right? No light skins, no, blonde and blue eye or blonde hair and blue eyes, and no. Come on now. Again, let's just use our visual acuity here. Let's not act like we don't see it, because you see it. Okay, so again, original. Did not come in all colors. Now, this young king here,
It's not normal.
sorry, has Wardenberg syndrome. Remember I was telling you? Those are not contact lenses. It's not CGI. It's not AI. Those are natural blue eyes because it's, in his eye sockets, but it's not normal. That's a disease. It's Wardenberg syndrome. Again, disproportionately high in West Africa. But they usually have hearing issues or vision problems, and they have other issues as well. But those are not normal blue eyes that you would see like from somebody of European stock. Just telling you. So it's either, here's the following conditions. If you see a black person with blue eyes, they either have ocular cutaneous albinism, which is 4 different types, Wardenberg syndrome, or the rare atavism, as I mentioned before, inherited from an ancient Diluvian ancestor of a different race, primarily European if they have blue eyes. It's under those conditions. Or, they're wearing contact lenses. I'm just being honest with you. That's it. That's that. They don't naturally have or normally have those color eyes. Just telling you. So, all right. Here's a white person with Waardenburg syndrome. I don't know if you can see it right there. See him right there? The blonde forelock right there in the frontal lobe? Yes. Okay. So let's go through. There's another photo I was looking for. Give me a sec. Okay. Okay, here we go. These are the features of the original sub-Saharan, my people, on my dad's side, because I'm half West African and half European. Those are the original sub-Saharan people. See? Education is key. Now show me all the colors. I always tell people, if you want to be ignorant, I'm going to challenge you on your ignorance or your nescience. Where are the colors? I don't see any color gradations at all. And if there's a slight color gradation, but phenotypically, they're pretty consistent. Homologous, right? You see? Dark skin, 4C hair, and dark eyes. So I don't know where some of you cats are getting this nonsense. Oh, we come in all shades. I don't know where you're learning this crap from, because it's false information. And don't even bring up the Khoisan people, because that's always the same old boring topic people keep bringing up. The Khoisan people, they're actually considered like the oldest tribe in Europe or in Africa, or one of the oldest tribes in Europe. Excuse me, in Africa. I'm sorry about that. In Africa. And the latest research shows that their DNA sequencing and genetic markers are very similar to Southern Spaniards and Italians. So some researchers believe that they're multi-generational mix, but they still can't prove it, but they believe it. So there's some speculation or opinions that are vacillating between researchers, but the point is, they're not, to me, light skinned. They're lighter brown, but they have 4C hair. They're beautiful people, by the way, because I even have them in one of my music videos, because I'm a music producer. I just released my 18th album. Anyway, they're lighter brown, but I don't consider them light skinned though. Like, let me see if I can pull up something to show you the Khoisan people. Give me 1 second, okay? All right, let's see what we have here. Okay, here's the Khoisan people. Good looking people, very handsome. But look, the 4C hair, they don't look like biracial people to me. I'm sorry. Good looking though. See, they don't look like biracial people, so I don't know where people are getting this nonsense from. They're lighter brown, but they're not, I consider them light skinned though. You see their hair? I mean, I don't understand why people keep bringing up the same Khoisan people. It's like, can you think of any other tribe besides the Khoisan people? Even the Ibu people are a little bit different than the Khoisan, that they also are considered to be a multi-generational mix. Okay? You see? Okay, again, very good looking people, but to me, they're not light skinned. They're just lighter brown. I don't even consider myself light skinned, to be honest with you. I'm considered light skinned because I have red undertones. Now, they may have some red too, I'm not sure, but I do have red undertones. When I get cold, I get red. When in the summertime, I get really dark. So I'm considered light skinned, but I'm more of a caramel color. To me, like light skin would be like Drake, but I do understand there's different types of light skin, just like blonde. There's dirty blonde, and there's like, I guess you call it just blonde. There's different gradations of blonde hair, right? Well, there's different gradations of light skin. I fit more, to me, like the Boris Cujo, like the Shamar Moore. I'm more of that persuasion. Still considered light skin, but it's because my hair is more European is why people place me in that category. So, I mean, it's a combination of things. I mean, I am still considered light skin, but I'm not like super light like Drake, okay? But again, you pick up different features because Drake has more, to me, 4A. I wouldn't say he has 4C hair, probably more 4A, whereas my hair texture is more like a 3A. 2C, 3A, just depends, and I'll show you. Give me a second. I don't know if you can see this photo. It's not the greatest photo, but Just give me 1 second. If I can pull it up. Give me 1 second, everyone. Okay. All right. So this is my hair texture. See, that's my hair texture. That's the back of my head. So as you can see, my hair texture is more European because when I had a hair transplant, the doctor said my hair texture is European. It's curly, but it still has the texture and the porosity of a white person because, you know, I am half white. So that's a trait that my brother and I picked up from my mom. You know, you pick up different traits from your parents. But my point is, my hair is not like Drake. Drake has more, not to say one's better than the other. I'm just making a point is that as mixed race people, we come in different phenotypes. We're very diverse people. And mixed race people are not always just 50-50. Here's something else too I want to educate and school some people on. Mixed race is not just, you know, 50% black, 50% white. First of all, it could be any mixture. And number two is two parents could be biracial of the same mix and or multi-generational mix, meaning that if you dig deep enough, for example, like Vanessa Williams, if she were to dig deep enough, she comes from a mulatto. They used to call us mulattoes, which I still don't have a problem with that term because some people still adopt that a race is one drop rule. So if you're going to support that nonsense, then I'll accept mulatto because at least the term mulatto defines what our mix is, okay? As opposed to like mestizo, which is indigenous, and Spaniard. But like people like Vanessa Williams, she descends from mulattoes on both sides of her family. But those mulattoes either married other mulattoes, sometimes white or sometimes black, you see? But she's like 44% white. Guess where it comes from? Both of her parents. But anyway, I digress. So there's my hair. And as I mentioned before, is, you know, we come as mixed race people in all different shades and phenotypes. We're a very diverse group of people. Okay. And let me see something else real quick. Because I want to give me 1 second. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, by the way. All right. Let me see. Where is live video?
Myself, again with the light skin.
Hold on, let's see. Now, you probably are wondering, why is this topic interesting to me? Because I wanted to be an anthropologist, just so you know. I changed my major because there's a paucity of opportunities for anthropologists, so that's why I decided to not pursue it. But I'm still an autodidactic anthropological researcher. I love studying anthropology. I've been studying it for over 25 years. So again, I come fully replete with information and knowledge on said topic. In fact, I am quite conversant on this topic because I actually read. These are sub-Saharan young ladies from Ghana, Ghanaian. Our original ancestors that were from West Africa were usually from Nigeria, Ghana, Republic of Congo, Senegal, those countries, just so you know. And this is the typical phenotype of sub-Saharan people. They're not light-skinned, no Alicia Keys, no Halle Berrys, no Zendayas. Those are all mixed-race people. So, for the record, open up a book. I'm not talking about the ones that are trying to learn. I'm talking about the ignorant people that just want to believe things so they can feel better about themselves, because I believe deep down inside is they're not proud of African features. They claim that they're proud, but they prefer features that are mixed with European, and it's actually very sad because you're just feeding right into white supremacy. You really are. And you may not even be aware of it, but you do not come in all shades. Mixed race people come in all shades. Our original ancestors were invariably dark skin, dark eyes, and 4C hair, and that's a fact. Okay? So if you want to try to debate or controvert, if you want to come on my page and have an intelligent conversation, we can do that. But if you're going to start spreading nonsense, lies, paralogy, I'm just going to block you. It's that simple. Okay? And trust me, it takes more energy for you to open up a fake account than me to just block you, which takes, what, a millisecond to do. So I think I'm done. I covered Waardenburg syndrome, ocula cutaneous, the 4 different types, atavism. Well, skin bleaching is a huge epidemic, unfortunately, in West Africa and Jamaica. Huge problem. A multi-billion-dollar industry is skin bleaching. Tanning is too, but bleaching I think is more. So a lot of white people tan, but remember, even though they tan, they basically, I'm just keeping it real, run the world, and they set the standard. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but my point is they still set the standard. So unfortunately, it's unfair, but they can do things and still get away with it. But when other groups do it, not so much. Just keeping it real. Oh, and I want to add this one thing too, because I get a lot of this, that sometimes people think by claiming groups of people that look very different from you, that their privileges are going to trickle down to you. And when I research the colorism in a penal system, that is often not true. So when you hear these people say, Meghan Markle, we want to claim her, listen, Meghan Markle, everybody can claim her. She has a white father and a multi-generational mixed race black mother, right? So she's not 50-50 like, let's say, Obama. She's more like a Mariah Carey. I think Mariah has a little bit more white ancestry in her than Meghan, but they both have more than 50%. I can almost guarantee it, right? But a lot of times I hear black women say, oh, she's a win for us. She's not though. And think about it. Even though she experienced some racism, it's still different as opposed to if she was a black woman, not a mixed race woman, a black woman, like what you see here, these beautiful ladies here. If she was sub-Saharan black, no mixture at all, straight up, I promise you her experiences will be 10 times worse. But because Meghan favors more of her white ancestry, because she has very fair skin, aquiline features. Now hair, I would say, is more in the middle. She has a typical like biracial person's hair, but she still looks to me European. Like if I didn't know her from a distance, I wouldn't question her. Like she looks like, they call it, a spicy white person. I've seen Italians and Spaniards and even Greeks that look like her. So if she was like, let's say in Sicily, she'll blend right in, because a lot of Sicilians do look like her. I've seen it, okay? I've seen Sicilians that have very kinky hair and like ambiguous, almost like they have African, like sub-Saharan African features. I've seen it. And in fact, even a lot of Italians, which are considered Latin because they are the original Latin people, Italians, Spanish, Portuguese, French, Romanians, they're all in the same Latin family, tend to have Middle Eastern ancestry. It shows up in their ancestry DNA results. And it makes sense because if you look at those countries, they're right next door to North Africa. I mean, people do cross borders, right? They don't just stay in their backyard and roast marshmallows and stare at the sky and count all the stars. No, people do cross borders. People do propagate. People do procreate. Let's not be silly and be, again, simple-minded here and just want to believe what you want to believe to feel better about yourself because you're feeling insecure because you don't want to accept possibility that there's some mixed ancestry in your lineage. Well, many of them do. And I go by science. I don't give a shit about opinions. Mean nothing to me. I go by science because you know what? Science has the power to supersede opinions, okay? Science has solved a lot of crimes of turpitude when it comes to RAPE, when it comes to MURDER, all those different things. Science is amazing. DNA, okay? But going back to what I said to you before is just because you're from a country does not always reflect who you are ethnically, because there's a thing known as migrations, exodus, where large groups of people migrate from one region to another. It happens all the time, ladies and gentlemen, just like Canada and the US. Do you think Canadians just stay in Canada? No, they cross the border, meet an American young man or lady, whatever, get married, have kids, and they settle in Canada and they become Canadian, the children, or they settle in America. You see what I mean? Same concept happens all over the world, including Africa. So now let me just talk about Jocelyn. I know I'm being a kind of desultory here, like just all over the place, but listen, Jocelyn, I can't stand her. I think she's super, super, super ignorant. But she was talking about Amber Rose as a black woman. Amber Rose is not a black woman. She's a mixed race woman that has predominant or strong Eurocentric features. Now, if you look at Amber Rose's mother, which I believe is Cape Verdean, I want to school all of you in case you don't know, or I should say inquiring minds. Cape Verdean people are known to be multi-generational mixed race people with sub-Saharan African and Portuguese ancestry. It's a fact. It shows up in her ancestry DNA results. Now, if Amber Rose were to have an ancestry DNA test, I can almost put my life on it that she's going to be at least between 70 to maybe 80% white, because her mother has substantial white ancestry. She has black and white. Her mother's very fair skin, aquiline features, which is very typical of Cape Verdeans. They're known to be a multi-generational mixed race people. They're not the same as these beautiful sub-Saharan women right here. Those are sub-Saharan black women, okay? So I'm just letting you know that's the difference. So this concludes my research or my presentation. I think I'm done. Again, I didn't prepare for this. Like, I don't have a cheat sheet. I don't have, a grid that I'm going through each section one by one. I'm just ad-libbing, okay? But that's my education. If you have any questions, feel free to write it on my video. But this concludes my presentation. Thank you.